Hello and welcome back to this Technocaps tutorial series on GameMaker Studio 2. This video will be about animated sprites. This video follows on from the original sprites video, so if you have not seen that, go ahead and watch that before you watch this one. Okay, so animations in GameMaker are handled by the sprites. It's a good idea to have a different sprite for each animation of a certain object you want. So you may want a sprite, an animated sprite for example, the player character standing still. You may want an animated sprite for the player character running left, one for them running right, one for them jumping, one for them landing, one for them breathing, etc. We're going to start by creating a coin animated sprite. This will be a collectible in this game. So as usual, head over to the assets browser on the right hand side, click on the sprites folder, right click to bring up the context menu, and then in the create menu you can click create sprite. As per usual, give everything in GameMaker a sensible name so you can identify it later. I'm going to call this coin SPR, short for sprite at the end. Once you've named it, make sure to set it to the resolution that works for your art style. We can do this by clicking the resize sprite option. And in scale image, we could put numbers in here. I usually work by 32 pixels wide with 32 pixels high because I find that is a good amount for pixel art. If you wanted more traditional art, you could turn that up a lot higher. Once we have set the resolution, the first thing to do when actually looking into the animation side of things is to set the number of frames per second. Frames are the individual segments of action that make up your animation. And the frames per second, or FPS, is a number that represents how many of those are played in a single second. If you turn this number up high, you get very smooth animations. However, it means that you have to do a lot of painting because you have to paint every frame. If you turn this number down low, that's less work, but also you get less smooth animations. I usually choose around about 10 frames per second. Once you've set that, you can go ahead and click Edit Image to bring up the sprite editor. Now in the sprite editor, you can do your usual thing of drawing a sprite. So let's do a quick, stick figure. As per usual. However, to make this an animation, we need to look at this bar along the top. This is the timeline. And each one of these squares is a frame. If I click plus, it gives me a new blank frame that I could draw something new in. Oh, he's got white arms. Oh dear. And if we click play, we can see that when it switches between the two, we've got the start of an animation there. However, because it's hard to keep drawing consistently, instead of drawing a new frame or creating a blank frame, if we delete that one, alternatively, what we can do is we can copy original frames and paste them, and then do our edits. So if we wanted to do a wave, we could rub out the arm and make that go up a bit higher. So we've got first frame, second frame, first frame, second frame. Clicking the play button will play all the frames in order at the speed we set earlier. So we've got a little bit of a wave. If I click this button up here, I can turn on onion skinning. Onion skinning shows the previous frame as a faint outline, and it's easier to draw motion with onion skinning turned on. Okay, this stick figure isn't very good, so let's look at actually importing an animation that's been made in a piece of external software. Now, you can import different types of animated file formats into GameMaker Studio. You can import GIF file formats. They're quite easy to find. They are quite often used in instant messaging services. Or you can import Spritesheets. To import a GIF, you can go back to the sprite editor and just use the standard import option here. However, to import a sprite sheet, you need to go into the image editor. Once you're in the image editor, you can click on Image at the top. This will be in the menu bar, and you can choose the option Import Strip Image. Now here I've got a strip image, or a sprite sheet as they are more commonly known, that I've made earlier in an external piece of software. Sprite sheet is just a large image where each sub-image represents a frame of the animation. So here I've got 8 frames. I'm going to go ahead and import that. As soon as I import that, it comes up with the sprite sheet options menu. Here I need to tell you how many frames I am using. Well, here I've got 8 frames, so I set that number to 8. How many frames are there per row? Well, I've got 3 rows, so I set that to 3. And here I set the size. If you've got gaps in between each of the frames, you can use the settings below to ignore those gaps. Once I've got all of these, I can go ahead and click Convert. It always brings up this warning sign. Basically what this warning sign means is if I'm importing something from an external program, it will replace what I've drawn so far. I've got a very poorly drawn stick figure, so I'm happy for that to be replaced. So let's click Yes. And we can see that has imported each of the frames from the sprite sheet. And if I go ahead and click Play, there's my animation there. Okay, once I'm happy with my animation, I can click Close. I can double check things in the sprite editor if I wanted to. Change all the necessary settings. And we pretty much have a completed animated sprite. In any case, that is it for this video. I hope that's been useful. And keep looking out in the description below for the next video and the playlist that will cover all of the things that we're covering in GameMaker Studio. Thanks for watching.